Grab your popcorn, kick back and relax, cause it's time for some more Carnage. So, in today's video, we're going to be covering warriors. It's going to be a guide on warriors and how to use them with heroes. So, if you don't know, at the moment that I record this video, there's currently 3 heroes in the game. There's Sgt Brick, Dr. Kevon, and Captain Everspark. Now, Captain Everspark is actually pretty useless with warriors, if I don't say so myself. Yeah, just pretty much useless. So, the 2 heroes we're going to be focusing on at the moment is Kevon and Brick. Now, I have tried to use Everspark with warriors, and I have tried to find a really good strategy for that, but I just, for whatever reason, I couldn't do it. Just couldn't manage it. So, I actually, the best strategy I found for that was actually a double hack on the shock launchers, and that allowed me to do sort of more damage to the HQ. The problem was it was too GBE intensive for that to be worth the trouble. Anyway, so we're going to be discussing warriors, guys. So, the first one is going to be Brick. Now, you'd be surprised to know, but Brick, all 3 of Brick's abilities is actually really useful with warriors. So the first one we have is Cluster Grenade. So, actually, before we jump into that, I want to show you my statue. So, my statue layout, I have 7 offense right now. Only 3 GBE and 3 troop damage. So, not really great for warrior use. Really, you want a full offense setup and preferably a boost. So for unboosted attacks, you're really going to see exactly how much you can really do with this. In the attacks I'm going to be showing, some of them I was actually getting like 300k and up, just unboosted with those statues. So you can really see if I was boosted up and really going for it with a full offense setup, I'd have crazy stuff to show. So, the first one we're going to be showing is Brick's Cluster Grenade. Now, unfortunately, when you have a boom cannon on the shore like this, you're going to have to smoke because you won't be able to get the ability off fast enough. So, you're going to have to use one smoke just for that. Now, Brick Cluster Grenade is actually a very efficient way of clearing mines. In particular, on a beachfront base, or a top middle base where the HQ's like in the middle up the top here. Because a lot of the mines that you're going to be encountering are behind this first building. Now you can see he hasn't really put many like here and here, and that's sort of like the dead spot for the cluster grenade. So when the cluster grenade hits this boom cannon, why isn't it? Oh, it is. Selecting it. So when it hits that, it's going to scatter and it's going to destroy all this stuff. Now, on a normal beachfront base where the HQ is sort of like back here where this mortar is, you're still getting an incredible amount of value. You're still clearing a lot of mines. Maybe it is random, the spread of the shrapnel, so you're probably going to want to maybe give it a try or 2 just to get the right spread. And it did take me 2 tries to get this spread that I got, but you'll see exactly how much mines I clear, and it costs 3 gunboat energy to use this. So you can see, look at that, I've got 1 mine still behind the boom cannon there, and that's really it. Everything else I just managed to clear. So for the same price as 1 artillery shot, I just got the same value as a barrage, or even maybe a little bit better value than a barrage, to be perfectly honest. Because look at how far that spread out from to the left and the right. A barrage, I don't think, would have got that far out. So, an incredible amount of value for 3 gunboat energy anyway. And that's the first ability. And I still feel like that's one of the most useful abilities. If you're trying to stretch your gunboat energy out to destroy a shield or something, you might not have the gunboat energy to use a barrage to clear mines at that point, and you don't want to waste GBE on critters. So that might be your best bet, and that's probably the scenarios where I'd use it. And that still to this day is one of my go-to strats. So the next one we're going to be looking at is Sgt Brick and how to actually use her when using warriors. So you see, I am on a shield base right now, and this base has 4 ice, a level 2 shield generator. I believe I was doing 300 to 320k damage on my attacks unboosted. Now, you have 2 abilities to select from in this scenario. So what I'm going to be showing you is how to actually get Brick to the HQ and use the ability properly. And I will be explaining some of the other strategies that you can use too. So the first strategy you can use is going to be, to get Brick there of course, is your normal sort of flare to a building and then go up to the HQ. The problem with this one is because you're not using ground flares, Brick's never going to be very close to the HQ, which means when you use her ability, you're only going to be covering like half your troops. So only half your troops are going to be getting that benefit. Also, if one of your last checkpoints is, say, a boom cannon like this, that's close to the HQ, you now have to waste a second, another smoke on that same location, because your last 2 smokes, the one on the HQ and the one just before it, have to be timed at the same time, so that the smoke for Brick will disappear at the same time as the smoke for your warriors at the HQ. So that way your ability's not being wasted. So to sum up, that's not really the best strategy for those reasons. You're losing a lot of value. The second way is to bring actually, you'll probably see this on Cosmic Duo's YouTube channel. He showcases this one a lot. I don't use this version of the strategy because it wastes more flares and smokes, and on tough bases you need that gunboat energy, so for that reason I don't do it this way. But he basically gets his warriors, deploys Brick at the same time, so he's not really timing Brick properly. As a result, he has to make a checkpoint past the HQ, so like a building behind. Let his warriors sit there, and this will make Brick sit around the HQ where he wants. And then he flares back to the HQ. Now, that's the problem. Because he has a lot less control over his walking path with mines, he's wasting more flares, he's wasting more smokes, and it's just bad. It's just bad. Like, it's not a wrong way of doing it. It's just not very efficient. So he has to waste more GBE. He has to boost more to do the same hits. Now, what I'm going to be showing you is not my way of doing it, but how a lot of the big pro players are using it. So what we do is we time Brick's landing so that when we place a ground flare next to the HQ, Brick will sit there and will get there about the same time as your warriors. So you can see I'm going to place my flare first. Actually, sorry, I have to clear a few mines just because. And my goal really wasn't to win this attack, it was just to show you how to use it, which is why I did not boost. If I had a boost, I would have got this easy. So you can see I'm placing a flare down, and now I'm deploying Brick not on the flare, but a little bit away from it. The reason for this is because if I deploy it Brick and then place my flare, then I guess that part doesn't matter too much. But I want to use that flare to do like a boat by boat landing with my warriors, like you normally would with Zookas, to group them up. And this will give Brick a chance to walk before the warriors actually get there. Also, so that means I'm going to have to smoke, because there's a boom cannon on the beach here which would have normally killed her. And you can see how far ahead she is right now from my warriors. So that means on a base like this, she's going to get there about the same time. My warriors did take a bit of a beating because of those rockets, but not really the hugest deal. So this is the next point. You can see my last 2 smokes were timed exactly the same time. Maybe my one on Brick was half a second late, but that's not really a big problem. So you can see my warriors have just spread out now, and because I'm in the middle of a lane, they're not going to come out of that smoke. Now all I have to do is place my flare on the HQ, and look at that. So we'll just wait for the warriors to get there. So look at this. Brick is so close to those warriors. If I use the ability right now, all of my warriors are going to be covered by that ability. And that's really as easy as it is. I just placed a flare and made my warriors walk straight up the middle of those buildings, and Bob's your uncle. Now, the scenarios under which you'd want to use Iron Will or Battle Orders really depends on the base and the ice you're facing. If you have the damage per second to be dealing, and you just can't keep all your warriors alive long enough to get the kill, then you want Iron Will. You use Iron Will while she's under the smoke right now, and when the smoke clears, you should be able to that'll keep your warriors alive a lot longer and hopefully get the kill. If it's an issue of damage per second, so you're able to keep them alive with, like, say, 2 medkits on the core, and you just can't get the damage per second off to destroy that shield generator, then you're going to want to use Battle Orders. And that's probably pretty obvious. But the scenario where you can't keep them alive very long and you wouldn't have had the damage per second anyway, under those circumstances you want to use Battle Orders and then just drop as many medkits as you can on your warriors while keeping stuff like the shock launcher and the rocket, the flamethrowers and stuff like that shocked. These days, machine guns are actually more deadly than flamethrowers, so maybe you'd want to make the machine gun a higher priority than a flamethrower, but that's pretty much the logic with Brick. I'm not going to show the attack simply because I wanted to show you how to control it, and that was my main point on the attack. So now we're going to be showing you how to use Kevon. Now, Kevon is actually my go-to troop with warriors because, and you're going to see why. She's used very much the same as what you'd use heavies and warriors. So if you've never used that, basically because heavies walk a little bit slower than warriors, you have to make a checkpoint halfway along the base. So if it was a top corner base, you'd checkpoint about here. Why isn't that selecting? Where the statue storage is. So about halfway in between the dock here, and then you go up to the HQ, and then the HQ itself, or even just the HQ itself if you've got a straight path. With beachfront bases, it's not really an issue. So that's how you flare her over a distance. So please don't pay attention to how badly I'm smoking right now, because my goal here was just to show you how to use Kevon. So one thing you'll notice with Kevon is she stays right up with the warriors, and that's because I'm intentionally letting my warriors take a little bit of damage. As long as they're a little bit damaged, that's okay. You don't have to bring them as close to death as what I did. But you can see right now that Kevon is actually standing there with my warriors. If you can't see her, she's like in the middle on the bottom of the HQ, and you'll see her little star there and the health symbol that's like in the middle of the HQ. But yeah, she's sitting there right with the warriors. You know, she's healing them, which is really great. So that while it's not super healing, it's still a little bit, which is good. The main advantage you get from Kevon, in my opinion, is her passive ability. Kevon's passive ability, and sorry, I meant to say his ability. The main advantage you get is his passive. His passive ability gives you a damage reduction. So at max level, which is 18 at the present moment, you get a 10% damage reduction. So 10% damage reduction from anything she's healing. Sorry, he's healing. That's huge. You know, that might be surviving a mortar shell. That might be surviving a bit more rocket fire or a bit more flamethrowers or something. That's huge. on its own, in my opinion, that makes him probably the most valuable troop to use with warriors. Now, I've tried using all 3 of his abilities with warriors. Crystal Shield is really the only one I've found value for, and I don't use it a whole lot. The reason for it is Crystal Shield, how that works, and you can read the wiki if you want on it, but pretty much you'll see that as you use the ability, there's like a blue bar and it goes down. Most people think this is the time limit. That's not correct. It's actually the health bar. Time actually decreases the health of the shield. Not the health of the troop itself, just the shield. So if we go back and... because I think I've shown you how to use the hero now, so I don't really need to show any further than that. Because it's really just controlling the heroes that we're focusing on right now. Where is it? I didn't mean to do that. There we go. So my shield has a hit point of 300 point health. 300 hit points, right? So over 9 seconds, that 300 health will gradually decrease. And you'll see that. Now this means if you deploy it too early, that ability, that means by the time the smoke clears from your warriors, your shield might only have half health. So even if it has full health, 300 hit points is nothing. Splash damage will absolutely wreck this shield. So the advantage of the Crystal Shield actually comes from one-shot building. So in the case of my base, I have a boom cannon here, here, here. So I got all these different one-shot buildings that are around my HQ, and you can see how many losses that would start to accumulate to, right? And even the splash damage from my normal stuff might allow snipers to kill it. So the Crystal Shield prevents losses from one-shot buildings right off the bat, and that will help you reduce your losses. But when you use Kevon, it's really more for his passive more than anything, in my opinion. So anyway, that's really the only use I have found for heroes right now. So hopefully I've provided you guys with enough information to sort of make up your mind what one you want to be using and why. In my opinion, I tend to use Kevon more than anything else, but I think Brick offers the most value, just because Battle Lord is, when you use that, you can deal an insane amount of damage. And although I've done 300 plus K damage unboosted, you can see I'm not even using my tribal boosts right now, which are all actually warrior related. So with that, I've been seeing people take down double shield bases without even touching the shields. I've seen them deal like nearly 1 million damage. So pretty ridiculous in my opinion. I think I saw a hit where a guy did 1.2 million. But that's pretty... So I thought you guys would like to see this. I know some of you guys have been asking me to do this. And I thought, this is a really great opportunity to sort of showcase some of the stuff you can do with warriors. So if you guys like this, drop a thumbs up. Tell me what you thought in the comments down below. I know it has been a little while since I've done a guide, and I'm sorry for that. I just like to cover topics that other people aren't really covering, and that's really why I don't do a lot of guides. Plus, my last one, if I'm not mistaken, was on warrior pathfinding and how to predict that, like, exactly each time, and that didn't get a whole lot of love in my... Really, it didn't get a lot of views. It didn't get really any comments at all, and it took me about 3 months, I think, in total to build that video. So afterwards from that, I was sort of a bit bummed out, and I didn't really make anything for a while. So I think this one will be better received, because I think a lot more people want to see how to use warriors and stuff with heroes. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I hope I didn't ramble on too much. I sort of felt like I was sort of covering points a little bit more than I probably should have, but I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway, and I'll see you guys in the next one.